Good afternoon to everyone. I extend a hearty welcome to each and every participant to this national webinar on promoting gender equality strategies and challenges, organized by the Center for Women Empowerment and Women's Studies of Manonmaniam Sundaranar University. About this webinar on gender equality, a short note about it. Gender equality is not only a fundamental human right, but a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. There has been tremendous progress over the last decades. More girls are going to schools, only fewer girls are forced into early marriages, more women are serving in parliament and various positions of leadership, and laws are being reformed to advance gender equality. Despite these gains, many challenges still remain. Discriminatory laws and social norms remain pervasive. Women continue to be underrepresented at all levels of political leadership, and one in every five women and girls between the ages of 15 and 49 report experiencing physical violence by an inmate partner within a 12-month period. The effects of the COVID 19 pandemic could reverse the limited progress that has been made on gender equality and women's rights. The coronavirus outbreak intensifies existing inequalities for women and girls across every sphere of activity, from health and the economy to security and social protection. Women play a disproportionate role in responding to the virus, including as frontline health care workers and caretakers at home. Women's unpaid care work has increased significantly as a result of school closures and the increased needs of older people. Women are also harder hit by the economic impacts of COVID 19 as they disproportionately work in insecure labor markets. Nearly 60% of women work in the informal economy, which puts them at greater risk of falling into poverty. This pandemic has also led to a steep increase in violence against women and girls. With lockdown measures in place, many women are trapped at home with their abusers, struggling to access services that are suffering from cuts and restrictions. Emerging data shows that since the outbreak of the pandemic, violence against women and girls, and particularly domestic violence, has intensified. In this scenario, this national webinar on gender equality strategies and challenges, organized by the Center for Women Empowerment and Women's Studies of Manonmaniam Sundaranar University, is very vital. Once again, I welcome you all for this national webinar on gender equality strategies and challenges, organized by the Center for Women Empowerment and Women's Studies of Manonmaniam Sundaranar University.
Revati, you are not audible. Revati, is there any problem?
வைஸ் சான்சலர் இதை ப்ளே பண்ணிட்டியா?
University. I have great pleasure in welcoming you all on the national webinar on promoting gender equality and education, organized by the Center for Women Empowerment and Women Studies. Dear colleagues, inequality has always been the necessity for the development of a country. Inclusion of both sectors equally will improve GDP tremendously. Indian GDP can grow by a staggering 60% if more women start working. Also, gender equality can add up to about 20 trillion and 12 trillion dollars of the world economy. And gender equality shapes improvements and outcomes in various sectors like health, education, social protection, and labor. Prevailing gender roles, social norms, and social networks influence control over resources and substance nature and rules and norms imposed by a range of institutions, which shape the status of women and men. Often, services may not be equally affordable norms and discrimination. And gender inequality, in fact, has major economic, social, political, and environmental consequences that cannot be ignored. Honorable
I thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for his inaugural address. And now, to start the section, the resource person is Professor N. Manimekalai. She is the founder director, Center for Women's Studies, Bharathidasan University. Currently, she is the Dean, Faculty of Arts, Member Senate, Director and Head, Department of Women's Studies, Bharathidasan University, Tiruchirapalli, Tamil Nadu. She has completed 3 weeks MHRD supported LEAP at IIT Bombay and NTU Singapore 2019. She is a research supervisor in Bharathidasan University, Mother Teresa University, and Korea University in Economics, Women's Studies, and Management disciplines. She has 15 years of professorship in Economics and Women's Studies and in Administration each. She has 29 years of teaching and research experience since 1991. She has produced nearly 20 PhDs in economics, management, and women's studies disciplines. She has introduced MA, MPhil, PhD, certificate, diploma, PG diploma programs and skill training, short-term courses in women's studies, gender studies, women entrepreneurship development, micro and small enterprises development, research skills. She has served as Member Senate as Governor nominee for 2 terms in Mother Teresa and Tirunelveli universities for 6 years. She is an advisory committee member for more than 20 women's studies centers in India. She is a chairperson, Board of Studies in Women's Studies in 4 universities and member boards of studies in economics, women's studies, NGO management, etc. in more than 20 colleges and universities. She is a member in College Management Committee, member of College Council, Academic Council in more than 10 universities and colleges. She is a member of IQAC, Research Committee, Policy Note Committee, etc. at Bharathidasan University. She has completed 10 major projects. She has organized more than 20 action research projects. She is the founder of Women Entrepreneurs Association of Tamil Nadu, WEAT, where the potential and aspiring women from any background are identified, motivated to startups. She is the founder, Regional Association of Women's Studies, to mobilize and organize collectively the Women's Studies Centers in South Asia. She has organized many seminars, workshops, and conferences. Such an eminent personality is with us as a resource person for this national webinar. I welcome you, ma'am.
Well, thank you, Dr. Revati. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
The
audible.
section is yours, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Revati, for a nice introduction and also inviting me for this webinar today to talk on the strategies and challenges in promoting gender equality. So I'll try to talk for about 45 minutes. It's already 20 minutes gone, and we'll try to and answer the questions or listen to the clarifications or observations that the participants will make. I'm happy that this particular topic, promoting gender equality, the strategies and challenges, could be discussed today, because this is the context, the pandemic hours, where we have to really practice gender equality. And due to the kind of deep-rooted patriarchal forces on the one hand, and the individuals who got internalized to the values of patriarchy on the other, very much contribute to sustain the gender inequalities in the society. And the same way, these institutions and forces should also work towards ensuring and sustaining gender equality. So I'll try to bring out the kind of areas in which the gender inequality prevails, despite the kind of development that is taking place. And you have traveled over 70 and odd years after independence, and still we are not able to ensure gender equality. And the worst fact is that the gender equality is widening, and there are gender gaps in terms of achievements of women and men, and of course the transgender and the LGBT communities, in terms of literacy, the sex ratio, the education, the employment, the participation in decision making positions, whatnot, several other, all those things I will be discussing. And so let me start the presentation. Gender equality, what are the issues first, and then move on to the gender discriminatory areas. We all agree, you all agree that gender equality or gender inequality is a global issue, and it is a human rights issue too. When there is inequality in the society, you can't claim that human rights is being implemented and followed. And it is a global issue because gender equality is not only present here, inequality present or gender discriminations are practiced here only in the Indian context or in Tamil Nadu context or in Tirunelveli context. No, it is everywhere. Whether you may think that in US or in the West, people are equal and there is no inequality. No, not like that. And in fact, West will envy us for at least the South Asian countries, where you at least have the freedom to talk and initiate, say in the academia you have the women's study centers, but when you go and see there in the West, several parts of the West, no women's study centers exist, because they feel, or they try to convey that there is no inequality. Where is the question? What is the need for women's study center? So that is what my friend used to share this. So thanks to Indian context, where at least we have that. Of course, as they rightly claimed, we have to have a space and position where the need for women's study centers should be done away with, because there is equality and there is no issue between men and women and other genders. There is no need for instituting a separate center to do with these issues. So that is the background on which I start this presentation today. And there is, as I already pointed out, the major gap, a persistent gap, is in also economic participation of women. The one I was talking about, the social indicators, the literacy, the participation in education, enrollment, etc., health, nutrition. There you have the discrimination being prevailing, and there is an attitude among the parents to discriminate girls and boys in terms of providing nutritious food, in terms of providing education, equal education, and also providing equal opportunity. And there are also conditionalities. There is a cultural conditioning, both for men and women, both boys and girls, that if a baby girl does something which is not accepted by the society, then she will be penalized. And that is what the gender learning theory or gender socialization theory says. And therefore, this baby girl will try to internalize to the value that, oh, I should not do this. If I do this, it is wrong, because she'll be beaten. Say, for example, she will be climbing, and the boys will also be climbing if it is 2-year or 3-year-old girl or a boy. But the boys climbing up will be entertained, and it will not be prevented at least. But these girls, no, if they climb or if they go and pick up something at the top, the girls will definitely be scolded and penalized for that, and that therefore both boys and girls. So the boy will be taking it as a sanction. Okay, I can climb, I can go and pick up wherever things are there, and that is a sanction right from a childhood that society is doing, and the parental socialization also take it forward these, and keep sustaining these inequalities, and therefore this gets extended further to other spaces also. It starts from the family and it goes to the education institutions, where we can see still divide the differences, some kind of work being assigned to girl students and some other to boy students, and boys will be sent out to go and pick up things from, or arrange the heavy benches, desks, whereas girls will be asked to uh, maybe take the for example the reception, and serve in the reception, to clean the classrooms, etc. And gender inequality still exists in every part of the globe, and it starts there in the household, and it is also extended to workplace and to larger society. As far as the 2011 census is concerned, one important discrimination which could be evidenced from the visual statistics itself is the declining sex ratio. For 1,000 boy babies, there is only 914 girl babies, and the literacy rate it was 82.14 for the men, whereas it is only 65 for women. And it is because, see, this is what the gender discrimination start right from the womb. And why I am saying right from the womb, because female feticide is taking place, and it is also perceived that boys education is something, an investment that is bringing some returns. I'm an economic student, so we see everything in the form of investment and returns. So that is what the some community or society is also perceiving. So if you invest on boys, that income will come as future insurance to the family. Whereas if you invest in girls, she will get married off, and she will go and she will, if at all she hires out her labor and brings earning, that will go to another family. And therefore, why should we invest more on girls' education? Girls, instead, if we save the money, we can even spend on their marriage expenses. So this is what the perception for majority of the parents. And thanks to some parents who are really concerned equally with the education of the girls, and they don't mind spending on professional education or the technical education, whatever, which involves huge money, and it will be going as investment. And so where did this come from? See, you are not investing on girls because she will marry and go off to other family. Why? This is constructed by the society. It doesn't come from the sky and jump from the sky. It is the people who are following are really responsible for this divide. They only brought these constructions as to the binary construction. The men are breadwinner and the women are caretaker, and the women are supposed to confine to four walls. The men are supposed to go out and occupy the public space. And the same thing, like if girl goes out and come late, you will penalize her. Whereas the boy goes out and occupy, I mean, if he stays back within four walls, you will penalize or scold or just abuse them. Why you are sitting like a girl? Next slide. So I, in order to understand, make the participants, because many of them are not from the women's studies background, so it is my duty to also clarify the difference between sex and gender. That is a starting point for the gender studies program as such, and gender sensitization also. So you can see some pictures I'm showing. One is the boy is sweeping and the girl is flying the kite. Is it okay for people who are listening to this? Boys can sweep, but what is the construction? Oh, you are a boy, you need not sweep. I am there to sweep. That is what even mothers won't allow the boys to sweep. But if you allow the boys right from the beginning to share all the work, irrespective of whether it is sweeping or cleaning or washing or whatever, then they will understand the value of that work. Now, see, you will continue to work in the household, but your work is not considered as work at all, and therefore the value is not understood. But if both boys and girls, I think in this COVID context, at least men would have, or boys also would have shared, then they would have definitely understood the value of the household work. But normally it is not. And similarly, if girls, if she is interested, let her go and fly this kite. Why should you to restrict this only to boys? And see, this is what I want to differentiate between sex and gender. I just tell you what is, then finally conclude. Women shaving this face, it is not because she doesn't have any bad beard. And man breastfeeding, it cannot, because it is naturally given to women only to breastfeed. Men cannot. Men can make dosa, definitely, because he may not be making there at home, but he'll be making 1,000 varieties of dosa there in the hotel, because when there it is paid. Therefore, you cannot say that it is not possible for men to make dosa at home. So the politics is that when the same work is paid, the men are performing. When the same work is not paid, it is done by women. So this is what it is, gender politics. And women driving a tractor, a picture showing she's driving a tractor. Many may wonder, oh, how come a woman can drive? Similarly, a woman climbing a tree also. So all these are possible. See, man cleaning the floor and washing clothes. It is possible. But unfortunately, all these have not been found there in the construction. It is all constructed. The men need not, I mean, they cannot. That is what it is being given. How can a man can clean? But he will be cleaning there in the hotel or wherever he is employed. And see the women climbing the tree. I think you in South Tamil Nadu, there is a particular community. There was, now it is deteriorating, and they have all given up this work. But climbing tree and extracting the turtle was one of the professions of the particular community, and where both men and women will definitely be trained, and they used to. But when I show this picture to the gender sensitization program, when I conduct the physical presence of the students, many will say, no, 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 women cannot climb the tree. So women can climb the tree provided that they give good training. But you have not trained. You always say that, oh, you are a girl, you can't climb. But now things are broken, and many are proving, and there is no field in which the women cannot perform. So next slide is the sex and gender. So by seeing these pictures, you would have understood by now what is sex and gender. So sex is something biological. Women alone can breastfeed. Women alone can menstruate. Women alone give birth to a child, whereas the men cannot. And this is something natural. This is given by this is something biological. You cannot break it. It is immutable, and it is to do with science. And therefore, you should not need not have to mix sex with gender. Gender is something which is constructed by the society, created by the society, and it is contextual, cultural specific. The kind of men and women who are expected to perform something may not be there in the West, or whatever their the role, gender roles there in West may not be here. Here it will be different. But underlining, I mean, the common difference is that gender discrimination exists, irrespective of whether it is West or North or East or West. But gender, which is I am responsible for whatever I am learning from the generation, for the passed by the generation, be it my grandmother or my mother, and I also just pass it to others. So that is what it is, construction. We have never questioned, we have never rationally questioned. When boy goes out and after his PG or UG to, I mean, a son is being sent out of the state or district to do his job. When the girl is not being sent, we never question why. The same investment you have done, both boys and girls. You have also made your girl daughter to do MBA and MBBS or PhD. When job comes, you must be in a position to send them equally to both, whether it is abroad or I'm not talking the entire society. There are exceptions. They are really interested in sending anywhere, wherever the work is. But in general, 90% what is happening is that the girls are not encouraged to go out of district. And you have to connect this also. Why the parents are not interested, I mean, are not willing to send their girls or daughters to out of state, out of district, and even leave alone job. Even here in the rural, lower income, poverty ridden households, the girls won't be sent even out of village to do their I mean, not even higher education after middle school. Till middle school, because the school will be there nearby or in the same village, or the elementary education. After that, it is a challenge for the girls to continue, because the school is far away, and she goes. And of course, middle school means they would have got their menarche, and after the menarche and puberty, the people won't be interested in sending them to school at all. So with this is what, please understand the sex and gender, and don't mix sex and gender are the same. Sex is totally different, which is biological. You don't mix. Just because a woman gives birth to a child, it doesn't mean that she should also go and cook. Cooking is just separate. And it is, I'm not just saying cooking. There are other activities, the entire care economy, the entire household social reproduction. All these are imposed to be done by women, just because the women are doing this biological reproduction. No, it is totally different. Biological reproduction is something different, which is naturally given. But social reproduction that you have imposed on her, you mean including men, women, and other genders. So we have also another important, two important concepts: equality versus equity. We are talking about gender equality today. And before equality, you should also be understood what is equity. Equity is, you can see in this picture. Equality, you have given the same kind of benches or whatever, the stools or the steps. So all the three are standing, and the first one is a little taller, the other one is second, but they have been given the same opportunity. So they are standing, but you can see the hierarchy. The one is tall, the other one. So in order to make all the three visible equally, you have to adjust the stools or benches so that everybody will be standing. That is what it has happened here in the second picture. That is equity. So that means you have to understand the needs of individuals. See, the last one is shorter, so you have to make that while person also to understand the society, able to see and able to receive the opportunities. It may apply to women, it may apply to the marginalized, ST, the disabled, etc., etc. You have to attend the special needs. Why I am talking about women here? Because women have been historically discriminated and in a disadvantageous position. And the same is true with the society where you have the division based on caste. So you have the lower caste, the Sudras, the OBCs, the BCs, and then the OCs. And you have accordingly divided the society based on caste. So there are inequalities. The one who is in the top is really, what I should say, enjoyed every right, whereas the bottom, they have been serving society to the person who are in the top. That is the dominant order, and this discrimination continue to exist. And again, there is another important concept: equity, equality, then reality, and liberation. So gender equality will definitely be liberate individuals. It will shackle out all the barriers or obstacles. So you can see the first picture. The third one is not able to see. There is a match going on or something going on. The second picture tells that he has been given or she has been given some additional stool, so that he is also, that is what I should say, that equity is done. The second, where a fair chance of representing the needs of the individuals could be taken care of, where all the three is now in a position to view the program that is on the other side. In the third, but what is the reality? That is depicted there in the third picture, where you can see the third one is really struggling. This is what the position of women, the disabled, the marginalized, the low income groups. So the inequalities in terms of the minorities, all these are, the reality is that the dominant order which in economics we say 90% of the asset or the wealth is being owned by 10% of the population, whereas 10% of the asset is being owned by 90% of the population. That is what the third picture is depicting the reality, where one could own at least around 6 or 7 whatever measure you say steps, and he could be there or she could be there in the top, whereas the second is in the medium, and the third one is down. He or she has to be lifted up, and that is what the role of reservation and other policies we have been experiencing. And without the reservation, it is not possible the third one who is really struggling by the bottom to reach the, though not reaching the top where the first one is standing, at least you have to go to the second or the above. So for that you have to give reservation. So you understand the science behind reservation, and many people say that reservation is really not it is violating the rights of others. No, you have been enjoying the rights right from the beginning. You had a historical advantage, whereas this third one who is struggling, I'm referring to the third one, all the marginalized in the society, the socially excluded population, be it scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, the women, and the minority religion. All these are really struggling to get equal opportunities, and therefore time has come, thanks to our social reformers, feminist thinkers, thanks to Periyar and the people who associated with them, with him, who really brought some kind of change and really questioned rationally the kind of inequalities prevailing the society, the caste system, the majoritarian principle, etc., etc. And you could now reach to the third concept, the fourth, that is the liberation. We haven't reached really completely, because liberation is to take away all the barriers. You should not have any barriers. So we have to come to that stage. So I have defined here what is gender equality and gender equality. So gender equity is the process of being fair to women and men. Of course, I add all the other marginalized. Of course, the transgender, they are also equally being exploited and marginalized. And to ensure fairness, that is what, go back to the picture where you seen the how the third one was struggling. So fairness is missing. You are enjoying because you are a tall person, and you apply the same thing. You are enjoying because historically you had equipped with, endowed with resources, you are landowners, you enjoyed the virtue of being at the higher caste, all such things. So that is what I mean, the fairness. And the fairness is not there for the other 90% lot who were just serving the landlords, the farm owners, who had thousands of acres in their land and hired these laborers and just distributed from the produce minimum, not equally. So ensure fairness, measures must often be available to compensate for historical and social disadvantages. This is what I meant, the historical and social disadvantages that you have been experiencing, you had experienced and you have been experiencing and you are still experiencing, and to prevent women and men from otherwise operating on a level playing field. So that is what I apply this logic to, this gender equity logic to three contexts. One is men and women. The other one is, say, for example, the economically and socially disadvantaged, whether it is SC or ST. And the other one is the class, the economically backward and economically well off. So all these are sailing on the same boat. Like women experienced the historical disadvantage. If you go back to 100 years, 100 years back, if you see, you could have even heard about Madam Madhulakshmi Reddy, when she applied for some PUC and BSc and later to medicine, she was denied admission. The simple reason that she was a woman and she belonged to a particular community. So she fought against that and really came up and raised to the situation. And also when she became the first legislative member, the first woman doctor here in the state, she fought for the girls' education. And that is why now I am talking to you because of her sanction, and several girls are in the schools. So this is what the women were denied with the right to get education. Now you have the right to education policy, and everybody is supposed to be there in school till 14 years of. But that was not the case earlier. So this is for the girls. I can apply this. I'm talking for education. This can be applied to their employment. This can be applied to their mobility, their leadership position, etc., etc. Same logic is applied to the so-called upper caste community and the lower caste community. The upper caste communities enjoyed the lot, and they had this the advantage, whereas these lower caste community, the so-called socially defined in the social structure, that they have failed to get these whatever the benefits and the privileges enjoyed by the upper caste. And the same logic to lower income group, because you belong to lower caste, your income is also low, so you belong to lower income also. So the lower income groups who also belong to lower caste, this is the double disadvantage. And for women it is again women, so for women it is lower income, lower economic, lower social, and also gender wise you are backward. So triple disadvantage for women. And for the Dalit it is double disadvantage. Generally Dalit women will be triply disadvantaged, whereas the other upper caste and upper class are doubly advantaged. They are socially, economically forward, and they are able to make decisions, and the entire state listens to those people who are with possession of material things, not the person who is really suffering for the next meals a day. So this is what I mean, gender equality. Gender equality, that is what we are going to talk the rest of the half an hour or so, is the absence of discrimination on the basis of person, sex, or authority. Since I am a girl, I am a woman, I shouldn't be. Yesterday there was a discussion, and women studies, university faculty was asking several women faculty members in the colleges and universities with their contributions equal to men faculty are not represented at the committees. They are only sought after to deliverables like do this work or do that work, and not nearly in the power um, uh, empowering them to powerful positions or leadership positions. And also authority, I told us the dominant social order, which is making the rules for the society, defines the social norms for the society. And opportunities, so based on the sex of the child, sex of the person, you shouldn't deny the opportunities, and all or if he belongs to a socially excluded community. Then allocation of resources and or benefits and access to services. So you should not discriminate whether it is the assigning opportunities or access to services, whatever. It is therefore the equal valuing by society of both the similarities and difference between men and women and varying roles that play is called gender equality. So ultimately, you have to understand that being born as a woman or a man, it is nature given. But being masculine and feminine, that is the expectation from the society, is socially given. So just because she happens to be a woman, you expect everything in as feminine qualities, feminine implementation, etc. That should be given up, and both men and women will be feminine for some time and masculine for some time, and you have to do away with those expectations. And there are the next slide. There are number of institutions, and I was talking about the gender equality or inequality. It is governed by various institutions. I was talking about the discrimination and differences in gender achievements in terms of literacy, in terms of nutrition and health, in terms of employment, in terms of decision making, and even violence against women, the crimes against women. All these are there are differences, and this difference is because of the so-called institutions which I have listed here, and these institutions safeguard the interest of the gender differences, providing this gender discrimination, and safeguards interests of the dominant. And when it is dominant, I mean the upper caste, the upper class. When it comes to gender, it is men, because men were there in the field, the public space, in decision making, etc. For a long. Women are now occupying some positions. That is not the case earlier. So there are institution I have listed. Family is the basic unit where socialization is done, and the practices, the very root which where it starts is family. Also have educational institutions. I have already pointed out thoroughly that the gender division of labor continues, extends from family to education institutions, workplaces, and the community, etc., etc. Then the caste is a major institution. The honor killing is taking place. Why? Because this caste difference, and that too, if it is the same level, like you have SC, ST, the PC or OBC, and then OC. For, actually, they say FC, that is forward communities. And this mix is taking place between SC and other communities only is an issue, major issue. If a boy chooses a SC girl, then or a reverse, the girl chooses a SC boy, then the caste system will definitely come there. Particularly, it is really, I should say, the hurt for the Dalit community, because they haven't been recognized equally. In fact, even in the divisions of Varnastra, these Sudras, below that only you had Harijans. That was the original terminology used for this ST, scheduled caste communities. And therefore, mixing with the scheduled caste with other communities is really perceived as a what I should say, sin even. Then if it is done, the families do not accept and they indulge in crimes, particularly the honor crime. You can't call that as honor, because where is the honor in killing? And other major institutions are the religion and culture. They go hand in hand. Of religion, several. I am taking up a study now on sanitation for women at workplaces, where more than understanding the science behind menstruation, the social taboos, the culture of silence, the unscientific practices are overruling, and they are being practiced, and they just gave up the scientific understanding. And so the women will be going there as passive contributors. No woman, except certain temples like Mel Marothur or other such, no woman would be priest. So even in the religion also, you will just go, you are a worshipper kind of a thing, or you will be taking up some work which is again related to care and cleaning, and will only be in the position. And even women are not allowed in certain beyond a certain space there in the temples. So religion reinforces the patriarchy and also the gender unequal relationship, and that's what I said. These are all the institutions which safeguards the kind of historical construction, social construction, which is providing men and women and their roles. Then there are other major institutions like media, the literature, the epics, whole lot of. All these are written by the dominant social order, that is the so-called upper caste or upper class, and also men. So they were in the field, and therefore they have written their epics or scripts. They scripted, and therefore it is something depicting the unequal power relationship. Women were not there, or women, or even the SCs were not given the, what I should say, the ability to write, to document what had happened at that particular time, because these communities were neither the women, these SC, ST, and other socially excluded population were able to read and write, and therefore they were just serving community, and whatever has been written by written, and now we are all using it as text or whatever, are all done by the dominant order. So please understand, the participants should understand the kind of the politics behind the kind of inequalities, multiple inequalities providing in the society. And only one inequality is gender inequality. But gender inequality is the base for, or is bottom of all the multiple inequalities. And when gender equality is achieved or ensured, then other inequalities will also be realized. So media, like education institution, the media is the largest education institutions which capture the needs of or even reinforces the kind of social construction in the society. you see whether it is a film or the TV serials or advertisements, how gendered. It's very rare to see the portrayal of positive role of women or the agency or the leadership role being portrayed in the media, whether it is print media or audio media or visual media. Then state law and market. These are the other major institutions. State means the government, the law, the legislation, the judiciary, the market, the private actors. So all these also are very much for the gender inequality to sustain. And in fact, the capitalist institutions, whether it is the public sector or private sector, they wish the women to continue to engage in care work, the social reproductive activities. And Maria Mais, in her book, mentioning that this is the huge subsidy that the women pay for the capitalist system. When a man is working in a factory, if the woman is taking care of all the social reproduction, factory or office, all the men for that sake here who are listening here. So you all move to outside, whether it is office or whatever, even to agriculture field, you comfortably go in the morning and work till evening because somebody is there to take care of all the household activities. In the absence of women, it would be a struggle for men to totally go and work there in the field, whether it is a factory or field or the agriculture farming. So that is why, say for example, there is a textile factory and a husband of a woman is working there. If the women started giving up their work that they have been doing there in the household, what will happen to the men? They will go late because they have to concentrate on the work at the household, and that will affect the productivity of the company, and therefore they have to also arrange to provide food, because if spending time in cooking etc takes time, and therefore the men are not able to come here on time, and therefore factories will spend on food and provide other things. So that will take away some in money or the loss, or I should say the some portion of the profit. So that is why Maria Mais claims that it is something, the social reproduction, all the care work that the woman does at home is a subsidy that is being paid for the capitalist system. In case if they do not, then they have to lose their profit. So this is the connection in which we have to see. Then social norms, ritual, customs and traditions. This is always there. Even the marital, the patrilocal marriages. You have created the system where men should marry and go and leave, the women should marry and leave for their men's family. It is not the natural given. It is created by the society. And you have created the patrilocal marriages, and you try to discriminate that the girls will go marry and settle elsewhere. Why should I invest? So this is paradoxical. And there are a number of areas in which you have the differences existing in the society. It starts with declining sex ratio and nutrition and health, which I have already. So when there is UN says that women's face, I mean poverty has women's face. That means whenever there is small food available or very minimum rice is available, then the women will sacrifice. Women means the mother, the sister, the grandmother. Then they will see that this particular available food will be distributed to all the men in the family. The women members only will bear the starvation, share the starvation. And so that is why then it has the vicious cycle operation starts, like the women starve, they are not able to go to labor market, they cannot work, they become ill health, they will end up in ill health, and that will further contribute to taking leave, then loss of income again contribute to poverty and nutrition. So this is a vicious cycle that is happening. Then there is also a difference in the literacy and education. So that is again, since you have I should say that right, it starts right from womb. You have denied the right to be born for the girl babies, and therefore the other discrimination also starts, leave alone those who really welcome the birth of the girl baby. The other entire 3/4 of the population still feels that getting a boy baby is good compared to girl baby. Then you have literacy and education. That is also one of the areas where the discrimination continues. And I already told the percentage of literacy. At least now the gap is shrinking. I mean, not the gap is shrinking. The percentage of literate population among the girls on the increase. But there is a persistent gender gap of 20% for the past for 4 or 5 census. And so why, if the girls or female literacy was 10%, the male was 30, and the female moved to 30%, the female male 30. And when male moved to 70, then women literacy was only 50. And now men move to 82, whereas women in 65. So this persisting gender gap, 20%, continues to be continuing, and that is again the kind of non-acceptance of women or girls getting educated equally. Then there are also other areas of gender discrimination, that is occupation and employment, participation in decision making, participation in politics, and I already told the gender socialization. Then ownership and control over resources. You have been claiming that the asset and property rights must be there on the name of women, but it has been accepted and the law is there. But unfortunately, what is not happening is that the law is not being implemented. And even if they implemented, equal property rights are not being practiced. Many themselves, they continue to just live without asking for their food, equal rights. And gender roles and division of work, tasks, etc. So all these, the discrimination which I right from the declining sex ratio to literacy to education, occupation, leadership, participation, etc., etc., it ultimately convey that there are gender discrimination in the society, and that is reflected in the form of gender roles, division of work, division of tasks, etc. And as UN claims, it is not me, it is a UN which claims that the gender inequality or gender discrimination manifest into gender-based violence. So whatever the kind of violence, be it molestation, is domestic violence, rape, or sexual harassment, etc., etc., it is all because of the kind of gender inequality and gender discrimination which are prevailing in the society. So we have to now question not the individuals. If I see a man or a boy who is insensitive to the girl's needs or women's needs, it is not his or his fault. It is the fault of the system. It is the construction which has given something, sanctioned something. And the men have also been socialized, or boys are socialized as girls to be timid, to be courageous. On the other hand, the girls will be asked to be timid, to be soft, to be confining to four walls. But on the other hand, the boys, which starts right from the socialization practice, where you get soft girls, whereas the gun, the car, etc., for boys, where the gun and car, playing with gun and car can be something different, which is connected to your knowledge building. Whereas playing with kitchen set or soft toys never contributes to your knowledge building. And therefore, at the very beginning, after giving birth to a child, the child is playing with the toy, which is something soft for girls, whereas rough for the boys. Why? Why we haven't exchanged both soft and tough toys, rough toys to boys and girls, irrespective of gender? Let them choose. If they wish to only play with soft toys, let them, the girls. Or if they wish to play with the aeroplane or the car or the cricket bat, let them. Why you deny the opportunity? Why you insist that girls they are supposed to play with soft toys, and because your expectation is that they have to be tender, the soft, etc., etc. Whereas on the other hand, boys, you impose, let them play with aeroplane or car, or later cricket or gilly, whatever, and all outdoor games in the beginning. Now things are changing. Now women are all participating in all sports, where both men and women. are equally participating, though number is small, including weightlifting, etc. And therefore, there is the gender gap in the sense the participation that this particular field is not possible for women has been given up totally. And so 50% in one of the surveys it was done. So I just bring, I have to read this. As young as the age of 6, girls start perceive themselves as less intelligent than boys. Why? It was revealed in a survey conducted in New York University, University of Illinois, and Princeton University, and published by Science Magazine, which is one of the renowned eminent journal, which had studied over 400 children between ages of 5 and 7. And these kids, they perceived that boys are household work is women's responsibility, because you associate the role, gender role. The father will be sitting and reading the paper. The mother will be looking after the kitchen work. The mother also will be going out for work. She is equally earning, but still, this is a gender divide at home. So, how would you assess the state of equality in your classroom? Some of the questions to ask: do girls and boys play together and under non-stereotypic rules? I was just telling, why you get an aeroplane for a boy, whereas a soft toy or a kitchen set for girl? Do you use inclusive language in and out of school? The very word in Tamil you all know, adu, idu. Instead of saying avunga, even if it is grow, the girls are always being referred as if agree name Tamil solluvom. Do you show inspiring female figures in your lessons? Yeah, how many lessons really brought out the historical contributions of women? When it is history or social studies, all the men will be there. Slowly now, syllabus you have got into new syllabi and therefore changing. But even now, it is not sufficient. It has to be equal. When women are participating, when you bring there in the textbook, the girls and boys will understand, okay, women have also contributed to freedom struggles, contributed to social development. When you are not bringing the woman at all to the textbooks, it is in a way conveying that women are not, as if women are not contributing. Do you know inspiring female figures in your lessons? No, answer is no. Recently it is happening. Do you want to know what else you can do to help children build critical knowledge to face sexist generalizations? So this is what boy, women, they are the future insurance for family. They will only be the hair of the family. They are the breadwinner of the family. All these are given always to boys. You have to go and you have to study well. You have to score more marks because you have to go to work. You can't go remain ideal without going to work. Society will not respect you. Whereas for the girls, every time the mother will say, take care of the work, you have to get married off and settle elsewhere. You have to, in Tamil solvanga, poi kuppa kottano. So this is what it is being told to everyone. So coming down to finally some 3-4 slides, I'll be talking on the strategies. So you now understood that there are inequalities in the society and how to what strategies could be applied in order to ensure gender equality. So first and foremost, equal opportunities. We have thoroughly discussed for the past half an hour or so that it is not equal. Equal opportunities are not provided. Then capacity building. See, girls and boys are there, men and women are there. Women and girls are historically and socially got disadvantaged, and they have not been paid the same attention like men and boys. And therefore, there is a need to build their capacity to leadership role or even to go and occupy a position in the public space. And women's machinery, you have to create that. You have to have organizations working for empowerment of women. Then temporary special measures. The affirmative actions, it can be like long term and short term. And context wise, for example, now we are in the COVID era. What is the actual treachery that the women are facing? We have to devise strategies. Maybe it is a temporary strategy to support them, to facilitate them with additional state support, like people who are in the unorganized sector not able to realize income, and the state has come to the rescue by distributing some amount. Then women's empowerment. I will be substantiating all these further. Gender mainstreaming, specific actions to enhance gender equality, gender budgeting. So while presenting the union budget since 2005 onwards, we have been dealing with gender budgeting also. Gender budgeting is something very strategic, which will help the women in disadvantageous position to come out. Then political and policy dialogue. So these are the strategies. I'll also substantiate later in the last slides. Then talk to women and girls. See, women and girls, they are not able to be articulative. They are not able to exercise their rights. They don't understand their rights. So it is our duty who are there in the policy making, or people who are teachers like us. You have to talk to women, discuss women, have dialogue with women, and let girls use mobile phones. See, the boys will always have catch hold of a mobile. I'm talking about the people who are even in the lower income group, like whether you have what I should say, the access to sanitation or not in the household, but you have access to mobile phones. So at least one mobile phone will be there, but that will always be accessed by men and the boys and not the women and the girls. If the girls are to be accessed, or the mother to, or the woman to be accessed, it will be, they'll be borrowing from the men and boys. And child marriage or early marriage is one of the major issues in this context of 21st century of such a technological and science advancement. We are still facing this child marriage and sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is the major issue, which in a way conveys that women are supposed, for the National Policy for Women Empowerment 2001, women should be equally participating in all areas and also occupy the public space, public life, public occupations, etc. But unfortunately, in the current context, several women report about sexual harassment, that the workplace is not safe for them. And harassment, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and also other showing of pornography, and the cyber crimes, etc., etc. So this is also a kind of issue which discourages the women to participate in work, and the declining participation of women in employment, which is a grave issue, which we will be also talking later in 1 week program. That particular what I should say, declining participation of women in work itself is being reported because of the sexual harassment. So all these are to be given up. Then make education gender sensitive. We are now in the education syllabus or the curricula, which is not much sensitive. That is why the women study centers have been introduced in the university and college system. And the role of women study centers is to influence the other disciplines to be gender sensitive, the administrations to be gender sensitive, and also the education, entire education to be gender sensitive. And it has to come on its own. It should not be pushed. Everybody should understand that, oh, there's no nothing, no syllabus about women's contribution. It should strike to me. I should always be instrumental in influencing the textbook writers to bring that into the textbooks. Then empower mothers. Mothers are not women alone. Women are different, mothers are different. Mothers have in the Indian context, they or they have the internalized value that the entire world is on their head. So without them, nothing will move. So they will always be taking care of all the social reproductive activities, care activities, animal care, elders care, child care, everything, and community participation also. And ultimately, they give up their own power, their own health, their own nutrition, their own power. So the women should also, of late, should realize that they have to see to their health, they have to see to their rights, and whether it is property right or wage, equality in wage, etc., etc. Then give proper value to women's work. That's what. And it is UN saying that 67% of the women, the women's work is 67%, but they hardly realize 10% of the income. See the inequality. Where is this 57% from? Then get women into power. So that is very important. All these, if gender equality is ensured, then women will equally be present everywhere, and they will be getting power. What could be done there in the classroom? So gender neutral tasks and division of labor. When I was in the school days, my teacher used to give me some work of like cleaning the board, cleaning the rooms, etc. Whereas boys will be going out and getting the stationery or even coffee, tea for the teachers. But this gender neutral task must be given up. Anybody, and even particularly climbing up and pasting the banner, the top, etc., are done by men. And if the girl students are not able to, immediately they will call some attender there outside, a male attender. They will seek support. They have to be trained. Girls can also, after all, it is only a table on which you will have to climb, and you are going to fix the banner there. What is going to happen? Nothing. Straight talk with students on personal relationship. This is completely absent. You have to make them understand sex education, the science behind sex education, so that you can safeguard them. Without understanding the sex and sexuality and sexual orientation, they end up with huge issues. So it is, say for example, to start with, at least call them in person, and whether it is a boy or a girl, talk to them, so that they'll be safeguarded from falling into the crisis. Invite women for lectures. Yeah, many a time, say for example, today I am talking. There are a number of webinars going on where men only will be interacting, as if women are not resourceful. So women are resourceful, they have to be. And several times in the academic staff colleges, the 28-day orientation courses, hardly a few women will be invited. And sometime in my own university, one of my friends who was a participant came and informed me, ma'am, 20 no woman speaker was invited. So is it that there is no women speaker, or it is the hurdle, the gendered hurdle there in the minds of the academic college director, who failed to invite even a single woman speaker? So you have to invite them. Then engendered textbooks, teachers to point to the concern, like this is what particular any task. For example, doctor, what is a picture? It is always a male picture. So now it is changing, both male and female are being given. If he is a carpenter, only male pictures. So it conveys even in the very first standard or second standard to the children, okay, these are the tasks only men do it, not women. So this is what it is being understood. Then in workplaces also, some strategies could be followed. It could be treating all the staff learners fairly. As I was just pointing in the beginning, that one of my colleagues in another university, she was asking why women with all equal qualification are more than equal and more contributions in terms of obligation, etc. They are not being recognized to be in the committees, decision-making committees. So that shouldn't be there. Gender auditing must be done, and they have to be represented. If men also, if it is a women's university, women's college, men should also be represented equally. Creating an inclusive culture for all staff and learners, whether it is or staff, there supposed to be inclusive culture. No one will be excluded just because they belong to a women's gender or lower community. Ensuring equal access to opportunities. So that we have dealt already. Enabling all staff and learners to develop to their full potential. It is not that they lack, they do have right potential. Then ensuring policies, procedures, and processes don't discriminate. And altering hiring practices to increase diversity. So, for example, you have the reservation, that is the roster system to be followed there, the entire university or the entire department. Some universities say that it is for the entire university, the roster system. Some it is saying it is department. So we have to be very careful. If it is the entire university, then what will happen? Whichever university they want to have the top persons from the upper caste, they will be placing them. leaving the other less important departments in their perception, the lower caste or the SCSTs, etc. So it has to be departmental so that every representation will go to each department and the diversity will be there, whether it is the male or the female, from OBC or SCST or this differently abled or men and women. This is what I mean diversity. Then equal pay, consider the leadership role for men and women. If it is a knack work, it is not that women will be just asked to produce the data, etc., but men will be taking care of all the compiling work, etc. Women should also be equally involved in such work so that it is a learning for everyone. It shouldn't be taken as an overburden for the women, nor the institution should think that no, women will be having additional work and they cannot be the over burdened. And strict and effective policies against harassment, I already told. Creating open-minded atmosphere, no favoritism. She belongs to my community. He belongs to my community. She's a woman. She's a man. So such kind of favoritism should not be there. Then the society, what you have to do, society or state, whatever I should say, that major concerns are like you have to have gender budgeting, and that is already introduced by the state, and there has to be a process of incorporating gender equality perspective in all policies. No policy should go without inclusion of gender. Then in the political dialogue, every individual who got elected should come and have dialogue with women, the men, the grassroots population, etc., which is hardly taking place. And process that may include activities like access to information, raise awareness, training for political participation, which is all happening already. Strategies to organize, that is, this is the era of networking. You have to network, like the Women's Studies Center there in Manonmaniam, Sundaranar University has asked for 1 week course with the Regional Association for Women's Studies. So now you will get more participants, you will get introduced, you will invite more speakers, and these speakers will be available as a resource person later also. So all these are called networking. Then leadership training. That is also very important. And now the government of MHRD has introduced the leadership training. Even before that, the UGC capacity building for women managers in higher education was in use, and now it has been connected to the academic staff college. Now it is HRDC, Human Resource Development Center. But it was an exclusive capacity building program for women managers to promote the leadership qualities among the women. And many women who attended this 6-day training program on capacity building could occupy leadership position as a registrar, the principal, the HODs, the deans, the vice chancellors, etc. And whole lot of social institutions. I already told that the right from the family to the state, the market, there are a number of institutions. So all these institutions must involve in sensitizing themselves and sensitize others, and re-socialize on gender stereotypes. Women, oh, they are women. They shouldn't go out after 6 o'clock. They shouldn't be given this hard task. All these are stereotypes that should be given up. Socialize on gender equality from childhood and share the household responsibilities. It is not that the men can go out and come back and sit with remote and watch TV, and women who still go out, come back and occupy the kitchen. No, it shouldn't be. It has to be shared. Understand that there is no masculine and there is no glory in maintaining the same. I am a என்னோட ஆண்மை எனக்கு அந்த மாதிரி it should be given up. Neither ஆண்மை nor பெண்மை. It is like both humanity must be considered. It is the last person, individuals and society to maintain and practice patriarchy and sustain unequal power relationship. Maintaining patriarchy, the patriarchy is something which is the male centric policies, androcentric policies, programs, focus, ஆண்மைய கோட்பாடு, தந்தை வெளி சமுதாயம். So it will not help the women to progress, nor the society to progress. And aware, be sensitive, realize and implement gender equality practices. Then let us create a world where no girls will be unsafe and no boys will feel insecure. And the policies, suggestive policies and interventions. It is necessary that a life course approach to education and employment of women and girls as a human right or in a human right perspective should be given. And policies to involve women in the management and provisions of accessible, safe and effective water and sanitation, which is very much important for make more women to join public life. Then the policies to provide quality, affordable, universally accessible healthcare, which is again missing. And provide the policies to take lead to the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. I told that womb to tomb. So கருவிலிருந்து கல்லறை வரை the discrimination provides, that should be given up. And the policies to reduce the unpaid work burden. That's what I was all along talking. And policies to provide financial and employment, land security or land rights to women and the people who are suffering, landless laborers, etc. Policies to encourage more female leadership. That is very important. You will become the role model for others and more women will join. And I apply, when I say women, you apply this to men also. If men leadership is poor, you have to encourage more men also. If disabled people are not represented, we have to voice out for their rights. Clear gendered budget to realize those goals with transparent and ethical considerations. So many a time transparency is not there. Why this particular right is being denied for? Why this woman is not being given the leadership role? No transparent answer. Ensure access to affordable, appropriate technologies and vocational training. And lastly, gender disaggregated data. These are all the various policies and programs on which. And finally, I conclude with an important role of men, that is men engage. Now you started having associations or organizations which are on engaging men to ensure gender equality. So men engage movement is going on, where men and boys can exhibit many things. For example, parental leave can be taken, and where men can take leave and take care of the child. And men view and treat the people of all genders as equal. In the men engage, it was all told. Then engage women, men to change norms and expectations, because men are there in the public field. For example, instead of me talking gender equality, if men talk, will be reaching better, because men will understand, oh, even the men, there are men who are accepting that there is gender equality. In general, men do not accept. Girls see their fathers equally engaged in domestic care, then they will go out and work and educate and increase their productivity. When boys and men learn more about female genital mutilation, they will work. This is one of the social evils. Similarly, female feticide, whatever. When boys and it is UN, when boys and men are educated on the benefits of contraception, they are more likely to support women's use of contraceptives and autonomy over their bodies. So it is necessary. It is not that you have to shy away talking about contraceptives to men and women. It has to be. So what is the academic context in which we have to do? That is the universities or colleges. Universities to help to update and redesign the syllabi, bring examination reforms and teacher training, etc., where the gender has to be incorporated. And thanks to UGC, which has incorporated women empowerment and gender sensitization programs there in the refresher course and orientation courses. Teachers to promote values of social equality. So we as teachers in the classroom, we have to promote gender equality messages. Link academic pursuits with extension activities. Whether it is the teaching or research, even in the extension activities, also the women's studies, gender studies perspective must be filled. Bring a close collaboration with various disciplines. Since we are in the university system, there are number of disciplines. Some 40 and odd departments are there in each universities. So our the Center for Women's Studies role is to call all the teachers who are at least little gender sensitive to different discipline, have a workshop. I think Manonmaniam Sundaranar can also have that 3 days or 2 days workshop. Invite the experts from respective field. For example, if it is economics, if it is psychology, if it is anthropology or criminology or science or maths or commerce, let them all come. And similarly, you also invite participants from different disciplines, and accordingly conduct them to take forward the gender component in the discipline. Understand the problems of grassroots and incorporate the policies and strategies. Yes, this is very important. That is what now you have every discipline, the rural immersion programs, etc., where you have to go to the field, understand the realities, the grassroots population, what are their struggles, irrespective of gender, whether it is a man or a woman. There they have to understand and incorporate. Then, if all these are done, definitely there will be change in the attitude and there will be enabling environment. And question the gender unequal relationship in the society, that will bring to change in the society. So with this, I'll stop. Gender equality is possible when all these strategies are adopted. With this, I'll stop. And now, Revati.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you,
can
ma'am.
be raised. Thank you. Thank you.
For your inspiring address. As an outcome of this webinar, let us believe that economic participation of women will increase and will promote gender equality. You have suggested many strategies to promote gender equality. There are only two questions asked. One is from Professor Anank. His question is, do we demand equality or equity?
Yeah, equity must be first. That must be followed by equality. Once equity is ensured, because
Okay,
when there is discrimination, it must be first equity.
Equity followed by equality.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Professor Dara Balachandran. She has
Yes.
a contrasting view. When we are accepting that we are marginalized community, the barriers remain there itself. She feels that reservation will reinforce this discrimination. Is it so?
No. I
Her
have
question is
thoroughly
that
explained.
reservation will reinforce discrimination.
No, not at all. That is why I
Will
thoroughly, because
reservation
this I have thoroughly informed
Yes, ma'am.
that this is what it is. It shouldn't be misunderstood. Reservation is to bring the level playing field. You have been discriminated historically for 100 years together. I'm not referring to women alone. I'm talking about SC/ST. I was talking about other marginalized communities. So when I say I am marginalized, doesn't mean that I don't deserve equality, and or I don't say that I am I should be in the subordination. No, not at all. The reservation is for patching or adjusting the kind of, that is what I have shown those pictures also, that to clearly informed
Yes,
why there is a reservation, because you were on the bottom for a long 100 years together. You were not given any opportunity, whereas your counterparts in the dominant social order were enjoying everything. They were in the decision making, they were the rulers, they were designing everything meant for the entire society, and they enjoyed. You haven't have any say, and now you started coming up because this reservation has helped you. So please please do not go with that notion. And if you are happen to be a teacher or a student, whatever, you will also tend to say this to others. No, please understand the science behind the reservation, and the reservation will not be there forever. Once you start reaching that level playing field, it will be done away with. That is why reservation for only 2 generations. You can't enjoy this reservation for the 3rd generation. I think you must be knowing that. So that is to take care of the historical disadvantage. I am not applying this to women. Women in a different context. Women in the social construction context. How women have been expected to contributing to social reproduction alone, though they equally occupy the outside productive activities. Why they are coming back and expecting the same all the social reproductive activities, the care work to be done? The society expects them to be performing. They have to be shared. They should not be overburdened. And also, if you don't value the work that the women perform there at home, then you won't be bringing any policy. See, there is no policy safeguarding the interest of the homemakers. When you go out, you demand for some rights, labor rights, etc. We in the university system, we ask for some rights. But where is the question of the women who are staying back at home and doing only the household work? So you have to have that to be brought out visible, and the construction should be broken so that women also will be equal players. And that is what the gender equality all about. When women and men have equal opportunities and equal, and I am talking both sharing of the work at home, at education institution, at workplaces, at public spaces. It is not in the panchayat, the men only will be talking, the women will be passive receivers. No, the same what you have been experiencing here at the household, where your men will be sitting and watching the TV and understand whatever happening outside, and you will be just confining to what is to be cooked for the next and who is to be given this or that. This is what your mind will be working. So you won't be receiving the very quality kind of development, and you can't contribute to this productivity, enhancing your productivity. And on the other, if gender equality is ensured, both the context, whether it is the public or private space, sharing will be taking place. So that will take you to gender equality. Yes. Revati?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I thank you for accepting our invitation and highlighted us with various strategies to promote gender equality, which is much important in a developing country like India. I thank you, ma'am. I thank each and every participant for participating in this national webinar on promoting gender equality strategies and challenges. I record my sincere thanks to all the authorities of our university for their kind support to organize this national webinar. I thank you one and all. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you one and all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.